be a camel owner or simply an adoring camel fan, you're in the right place for some fun, useful and interesting camel talk. This is the Camel Connection podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Tara.
And I'm Russell. Join us here for fun learning about camels, how to care for, train and handle them, plus insider stories and interviews.
And also some interesting stories of our lifestyle with camels, the good, the bad, the ugly and the very funny.
Make sure you've subscribed now so you don't miss out on an episode.
Now, some of these podcasts are an audio take of our video, so be sure to check those out on our blog for lots of how-to visuals and, of course, lots of camels.
This is your one and only go-to podcast, all about camels.
Hello and welcome back to the Camel Connection podcast. So glad you're here because today is an incredibly special day because it is World Camel Day. I know, I bet you didn't even know that there is a whole day dedicated to the camel. It is pretty cool and it's like party central here at Australian Camels HQ. So yeah, we're pretty psyched about it, and more to the point, we want to get you psyched about it and we want to talk to you about some myths, some camel myths. Since it's World Camel Day, we might as well bust some myths. So June the 22nd is World Camel Day every year for the past not very many years, I think. Now, don't quote me on this, but I think it's only been like 5 years or something. So it hasn't been a very long time that camels have had a whole day dedicated to themselves. But that's okay because we are here to make a difference in a camel's world and celebrate who they are and what they offer to us. So we're going to, like I said, bust some myths. Because I bet you there's something you don't know about camels. We certainly learnt something new while we were doing a little bit of research on this. And yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy this. So technically, according to Google, that the 22nd of June is a day to recognise the fact that camels are very important creatures to many people around the world, and that a lot of people rely on camels for their own survival, like us. They're kind of stolen our hearts and taken over our lives. Surely that counts. Probably not. But anyhow, there are many people that need camels to survive. Like one of our past episodes, we spoke with CD Amar from the Sahara Desert, and his family need camels every day in their life just to get by. They use the camels for milk, as as good companions or company, for transport. They use their wool, absolutely everything. So that is all a good reason to recognise camels, and why not us Westerner camel owners? We can too, because they're very important and special creatures to us. So let's start World Camel Day right with some myth busting. Now, you might already know some of these myths, but stick with us as we're pretty sure you'll learn something new here. So here we go. Biting, spitting, cantankerous, I always struggle with that word, creatures is usually the reply you get from someone who has had very little contact with camels. It's amazing what some people know. So it's true. It's the most annoying assumption of all time for a cameleer or the cameleer. A cameleer is a person who handles camel or someone who works with camels. So someone must bust those myths already. It's so annoying. We often wonder where those kinds of assumptions even come from in the first place. Like, it must be the media, the movies and TV shows where these, grumpy camels get a name for themselves. Or should I say grumpy, mishandled camels get a name for themselves. So the poor media always gets the blame, and I'm certainly putting this on them. But isn't it true that when we don't know how much we know about something, that we seem to know more about something. Did that even make sense? But when we know more, we know less, right? Anyway, maybe it's just because I'm so happy that it's World Camel Day. I'm in this ridiculous kind of mood. It is pretty exciting for us. So let's get into it, straight into it. Let's look at myth number 1. Camels store water in their humps. Do they? Okay, so most people know that this isn't true, but hang in there with us, you might learn something new. As much as this would be quite a wonderful and hilarious sight to see a camel wobbling along with like a waterbed type arrangement on top of their backs, it's not true that camels store actual water in their hump, or humps for the two humpers. Camels are much more amazing than that. Surprise, surprise. A camel's hump is pure fatty fat. Yes, I just said fat 3 times. If you've ever had a chance to poke a camel's hump, it's actually solid as a rock. Like, unless they're underweight, it's usually like rock solid. It's pretty amazing. So try poking a camel's hump one day. So camels actually store fat in their humps from drinking and eating. But wait, there's more. So how is that possible? How do they withdraw water from their fat? And why on earth can't humans do that? Oh, geez, that'd be great. Anyway, let's get our nerdy scientist glasses on and get in the know right here. The fat in the camel's hump converts to energy, and one of the byproducts of the energy conversion is H2O, or water for those playing at home. A rough estimate is 1 gram of fat can produce 1 gram of H2O. This is so clever, right? But what's even more clever is that the camel gods really thought about this one. It's all well and good to convert fat to energy to water, but the hot desert environments would quickly evaporate the water, right? Then enters the camel's respiratory system, which plays an amazing and very key role in water conservation, as does the camel's unique red blood cells. Unique meaning weird and creepy, and how on earth is that even possible without them being from outer space? But it's basically their red blood cells are oval instead of round. So, okay, rather than me try and explain it in my Aussie language and through all my excitement, because I just can't get a handle on my language today, I'm going to play you a short and fascinating clip from YouTube. So I've just taken the audio from this really cool animation, which explains how the camel conserves its water. So if you want to make good sense of it, go on YouTube and search "Where do camels store water?" by the YouTube channel Tell Me Why. It's great and very informative. Otherwise, you can just listen into the audio that I'm just going to insert right now for you.
Where do camels store water? There's a common misconception that camels use their humps to store water, but that's not true. Camels use their humps for storing fat, which is used during food shortage. Converting this fat to energy produces water. Roughly 1 gram of fat may produce more than a gram of water, but this water is not used directly by the camel. So instead of storing water, camels have adapted themselves to the scarcity of water. Camel's nose plays a crucial part in preserving the moisture inside him. When a camel inhales hot air, the moisture in the lining in his nose is picked up by it. Thus, the hot air becomes humid and cool. This cools the body as well as prevents further moisture from being stolen from his respiratory system. When the air is exhaled, the moisture-absorbent material inside the nose regains the moisture which was transferred initially. This method of respiration reduces water loss by as much as 70%. When an animal gets dehydrated, the loss of moisture in the blood makes it thicker, making it difficult for blood flow. A decreased blood flow delivers less nutrients and oxygen as intended and ends up killing the animal due to blood sludging. But in case of camels, their red blood cells are oval in shape. The elliptical shape makes the red blood cell elongated in one direction. When blood flows, these red blood cells align in the same direction. Thus, there is very less chance of sludging affecting the blood flow. These blood cells can even swell 2.4 times their original size, thereby increasing their capacity to carry moisture and oxygen. Whereas if we compare this with humans, our blood cells can only swell up to 1.5 times their original size. Well, although camels have most efficient way of regaining their moisture, they get thirsty too. In fact, a thirsty camel can drink up to 30 gallons of water in about 13 minutes. So there you go. Now you know how camels survive in such harsh conditions.
So there you have it. That's how camels store water and food in their hump, which is pretty damn cool if you're asking me. Okay, so let's look at myth number 2, spitting camels. So we're just going to be upfront here. Camels don't actually spit, they vomit. So let us explain in human terms. Like, have you ever got one of those friends or ever known somebody or a relative who seems to vomit every time they get nervous or scared or under pressure or anxious? Or, you know, even that could be you. Like, I know that I felt that way before. Well, you and or your friend relative and the camel have something in common. Yep, so if a camel is scared, they will regurgitate their food and vomit from fear and nervousness. There you have it. It's pretty simple. So, you know, I don't know why people get that so confused. And it's the same why they kick and bite and all the rest. It's a defense mechanism. And when somebody's spewing on you, you kind of want to get away because it's regurgitated spew and it stinks. So it works every time. So unless, of course, like you're like Russell and myself, that it's happened to us a few times, you know, not very often, but when it does happen, we ignore it generally because, you know, we're so used to it. And Russell's saying is that if you haven't ever been vomited on by a camel, then you're not a proper camelier yet. So there you go. Tip number 1. So camels who obviously are poorly treated or misunderstood will tend to vomit on the closest thing to them, usually being a Homo sapien, which is a bit of a nerdy and scientist word, but it's there. This is basically, like I said, a camel's defense mechanism, and I have no idea. They basically thinking, I have no idea what you're asking of me, so I'm just going to vomit, and that's their little plea. You know, when I tell people this, like in our professional operations, like, oh, that's so sad that a camel vomits from fear, and I'm like, yeah, it is. You know, it is actually sad that they are so scared that they, you know, vomiting out of fear, nervousness, uncertainty. You know, even our experienced camels do that sometimes. We might have them at an event and all of a sudden they just blur and like at us because they're under pressure. I can totally relate to that. It's like they flip their lid. So, yeah, camels and I have a lot in common, I think, but I'm sure you understand now why a camel spits or vomits, and you can tell other people, actually, they don't spit, they vomit, which is so much better, and you get people's attention when they say they vomit, like, oh, that's gross, so you can go on and explain things. So let's get into myth number 3. Do camels originate from the desert? Like, doesn't everybody know that camels come from the desert? But you know what? There is some new evidence, like literal evidence, when you think about it. Their desert adapted body with water conservation, their feet, their feet are kind of like snowshoes, and their fat storage capabilities are perfect for Arctic environments, or at least they were. But now, like, I know you weren't expecting to spend all day learning about camels, but hey, it's World Camel Day after all. So if you're really keen and don't believe us that camels actually originated from the Arctic, according to new research, search YouTube again, okay? And it is called Search This. You have no idea where camels really come from. It's on a TED Talks channel, and it is camel-tastic to the extreme. Like, it was mind-blowing, but it makes so much sense on how the camels so adapted for the Arctic environments. I mean, think of the Bactrian camels in Mongolia. We went there back in 2017. And they like deal with minus 40 conditions, and they're just like, obviously we're used to working with dromedary camels all the time, and the Bactrian camels just seem so prehistoric and just kind of like, where did you even come from? And But their body, like all their biology, is very similar to the one-hump camel. But yeah, the dromedary would certainly struggle in that very cold condition. So it is amazing. I found this TED Talk just mind-blowing. So if you want to go further, again, search on YouTube. You have no idea where camels really come from. It's a TEDx talk. You're going to love it. So there you have it. 3 camel myths busted on World Camel Day, June 22nd, 2018. Happy World Camel Day to you. If you have a camel, make sure you give them lots of camel cuddles and kisses. And if you don't have a camel, go and see one so you can hug and kiss it, or leave a comment on our Facebook or Instagram on our post for World Camel Day and give one of ours a cuddle and a kiss, virtually. Okay, signing off now. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Are you a new camel learner, or are you considering owning camels? Look no further for an alternative, gentle camel training method. Forget all the heavy-handed and dominance-based camel training styles. We'll show you another way. Get camel confident with your camel handling and training skills. Get our free camel training videos and ebook over at AustralianCamels.com.